Welcome to the Dental Marketing Secrets podcast, where we provide insight and feedback on what's working right now in the world of dental marketing so that you can grow your practice, serve more patients, and leave a greater impact in the end. I'm your host, Mark Thackeray. Welcome, come one, come all to the Dental Marketing Secrets podcast. So excited to have you here with me today for this episode. As you know, our whole goal is to provide you with tactics and tips and strategy to help you grow your practice so that you can serve more patients and ultimately leave a greater impact. My name is Mark Thackeray, and I'm just excited to be here. It is a glorious day here in Salt Lake City, Utah, looking outside, out my window, up at the Wasatch Mountains, and the snow is melting away. It's a little bit warmer today. We're in early March as we record this, and we had a pretty big storm hit us not too long ago, but most of that snow has melted away, and springtime is in the air, my friends. And I'm pumped about that because I want to get back on my skateboard. I love to skate. I'm an old man when I go to the parks, but it's still fun, and I'm eager to do that. Take the kiddos with me. But I'm excited about this podcast. Just wrapped it up with this interview with Regan Robertson, and she is awesome. She's a tremendous storyteller and has a ton of great advice when it comes to being more authentic. We're going to dive into that in just a sec. But Regan, just a little background on Regan. She is the president and CMO of Productive Dentist Academy. You've probably heard of them. They do a tremendous job. She's a certified business made simple coach, a story brand guide, and color consultant. She's also very passionate about weaving clarity through the total patient experience to create a memorable, really an unparalleled patient experience. And like I said, she has got some very, very great insights. I found myself taking a lot of notes on this one. And so I think you're going to really enjoy this. What is authentic marketing? How to apply that to your practice? What that means from a patient perspective. She shares 3 levels of becoming authentic in your marketing and in your messaging. She also has a really super cool ninja tactic to finding out the story that you're telling. You know, you could do that. You'll have to listen. It's towards the end, but it's a really, really cool tactic on to get a bigger picture of what the perception is of your practice based on what your patients are saying. So very cool. You're going to want to take notes, grab a pen, grab some paper, and let's get right to it. All right, guys, welcome back. We have Regan with me on the show. Regan, how are you?
I'm doing exceptional, Mark. How are you?
Oh, so good. So good. And we've just been talking a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today, which is authentic marketing and what that means and how to apply that to your practice. But first, Regan, why don't you take a minute or two and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you guys do.
Sure. I am Regan Robertson. I'm the president and CMO, that's Chief Marketing Officer for Productive Dentist Academy. We've been around since 2004, founded by Dr. Bruce B. Baird and Victoria Peterson. We have helped dentists, really simplify the business and communication of dentistry. So we do that through consulting, our business consulting, marketing agency, and educational services.
That's awesome. And it's so cool because even before we pressed record on this, we've been talking a little bit about each other about what we're going to talk about today, but just listening to you, Regan, and how you phrase things and how you communicate, you have such a command over the language. It's so nice because everything that you say just conjures up a great visual, and you're really good at this. We should be swapping seats. I think. I feel like you should be up here, but I'm really excited to dive into this because I can already tell that you've been doing this for a long time. You know, to make that sound so natural and so easy and so fluid is very, very challenging. So I'm very excited to get into this with you. So let's talk about that. Let's start there. Authentic marketing. What is that, and what do you mean by that by that term?
Well, dentistry really, in terms of marketing, really dentists haven't been able to truly market themselves, to the full extent like every other industry in the United States. So really it's been around, I think, 30 or so years when we got to graduate from having our name in the yellow book pages with maybe a little red border box around it into, really the explosive marketing capabilities that we have today. And I think that puts a really interesting spin on how dentists market, because you've got this really exciting twofold situation happening in healthcare. So you've got the dentist that is the lab coat, that is providing a service, that is in the healthcare space, really combining that with all of a sudden you have to compete with a lot of these other industries who are really truly reaching out and connecting and sharing what they
Right.
like to do and sharing who they are and being open about that. And I think it can be really a tricky thing, because dentists are at heart, I call them artistic engineers.
Mhm.
Many of them are introverted. They're very passionate about what they do, but they're not necessarily excited about sharing who they are and understanding why that's important when it comes to elevating the health of your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to just go back to what you said. I mean, we're not, it was so different years ago where it was just, you were kind of competing against dentist in the yellow pages. It was very, I mean, it was very dialed down. It was super simplistic. But now, like you said, I mean, that's such a great point to remember when you're sending out these messages, you're not necessarily just competing against the dentist down the road, but you're competing against some of the greatest storytellers in history. When you're Disney and the likes of those people, where they have that magical ability to pull you right in and help you envision your life down at Disney World with your kids, and it's amazing and all these things. But that's the competition that you're up against, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And if you, I mean, do you ever really think about going to the dentist as an experience?
No,
No, right?
not a good one, at least usually.
And it was pretty much, I mean, point and shoot. Like, you went in because you had an issue with or you were going in for preventative care.
Right.
And that's kind of the extent of it. And as opportunities have opened up, as marketing availability has become open over the years, and really, I mean, dentistry in itself is being flooded. So there's lots of graduates out there. Really, you have to turn it into an experience. One of the doctors that we work with, they are out of Brooklyn, and Dr. Richard and Eddie Lee. I had the best conversation with them about how they set up their experience. So one of them had a background in the Gap. You remember the Gap store, the
Yeah.
department stores?
Uh-huh.
So they developed their own scent for their
Mm,
dental practice. I think their
I
Park
love that.
Slope Dental Arts is their name. Yes, Park Slope
Yeah,
Dental Arts already sounds chic. It already
I
sounds
know
kind
it
of
does.
exciting. So they developed a scent that they like pipe in. They get the music just right. They understand the color theory. And those are the types of practices that it doesn't take. You don't have to be a rocket science. It
Yeah.
doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does take know-how to create an environment that people suddenly feel good about. And Disney, I love that you brought them up. The secret to it is you're having a good experience and you don't really understand why.
Yeah.
I equate it to toilet paper, which sounds terrible right now. If you use just toilet paper that's good, I don't think about it. Do you think about it? You just use
No,
it,
no,
right?
yeah. Mhm.
But if you get stuck with a single ply, itchy, scratchy,
Oh
poor
man,
quality toilet paper, you
yeah,
remember it.
yeah. That like super thin, that you're like, oh, this is worthless. Why is this even here?
Exactly. So dentists today really have that challenge. They are creating an experience that is memorable. And what it does is it gets you in conversation for long-term care. I mean, it really does get you in a place of authentic connection.
Oh, and that's a tricky thing to do, especially if you are naturally an introvert and you don't necessarily want to put yourself out there, I guess. I mean, so how do you do that with, I mean, a provider, or I mean, that's just hesitant about opening up that way or creating that type of experience?
Well, when I talk to any dentist, I try to, especially if they're an introverted, because some dentists go full force into social media. They love being on video. They're very natural at it. But for most, it's really not a natural way to connect with people. And so I try to take the pressure off right away by saying something provocative like, "Hey, if you don't want to be on Facebook, you don't have to be on Facebook."
Yeah.
Now, it might be in their best interest with their demographic market to be on Facebook to find the patients that they're looking for. But I
Mhm.
try to take that pressure off right away and instead connect with them on why they became a dentist in the first place. What
Yeah.
was really
Right.
driving that mission for them? And you will find some amazing answers and some incredible different philosophies of care. So it's not just being a dentist. There are so many variances to what that means. For example, some dentists are extremely passionate about airway solutions. Dr. Meghna Dasani, she has a sleep apnea podcast that she totally dedicates her practice to helping with airway issues, especially in children.
Yeah.
And she has a story around her father that drove that mission. So that's an incredibly different line of care than, say, someone who is super passionate about cosmetic dentistry, like Dr. Mark Costas of Dental Success Institute. He has a fantastic story of him being in sports and smashing into a wall while trying to catch a ball in baseball, and he broke out many of his teeth. It was severe. And the doctor that helped save his smile sent him on a trajectory of, I want to do this for other people. So I think stepping back and calming the noise of how do I get myself out there? How many places do I have to be? Oh my God, do I have to do video?
Yeah.
And connecting with why they became a dentist in the first place helps calm it.
Absolutely.
And then I like to turn it around and say, well, doctor, this is great. It's not actually about you. It is about attracting patients, and they're their own hero in their story. So you're simply a guide. I also like that because it takes the pressure off of them. They're not coming in to save the day. They're coming in to provide guidance. So then we look at the authentic connection and the messaging that really reaches patients' hearts. It is important to do the scientific background. Make sure you understand your demographics. You can start it off with saying, I want more implant patients, for example. But connecting with somebody, the difference between a long-term guaranteed connection and a transactional, maybe they schedule, maybe they don't, maybe they show up, maybe they don't, really gets down to the messaging. And there's different levels that we can talk about that really will, increase that authentic connection.
Yeah. And I want to get there, but I have a couple other questions for you.
I thought you might.
I know. They keep coming up. So it is important to, and I totally agree with this, where you're finding out, you're really discovering and honing in on your own personal why. What got you into dentistry, and articulating that so that people can understand that. It doesn't mean that you take over. It's not all, like you said, it's not all about you when it comes to marketing. But I think and I'll ask a question here in just a sec about this, but it can also help, from a social media perspective. It's a great way. That's like we were talking about before, pressing record. It's just that it's a great way to connect with people. That's how people are on social media. They open up, they share things, they're vulnerable at times. But this is a fantastic way to build that relationship and trust with patients, is to share your personal why, and those can be extremely effective campaigns if you're running them, Facebook ad or something like that. It's just a general awareness, a video. And I know that can be challenging, like you mentioned. But the question I had for you too is, okay, so we're trying to create this experience, right? I mean, we know that's what we want, but how do you do that when the audience, like the perception of coming to the dentist, is generally a negative perception, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
So how do you combat that? I mean, how do you be like, okay, because I think some people out there are gonna be like, yeah, right, it's just a dentist, like that doesn't look fun, what I mean? But I think, let me have you answer first before I say anything else.
Well, I love that angle. I don't think everybody hates going to the dentist, but I do think, by and large, they do have some apprehensions around it. And one of the things that I teach in our Business Impact Foundations program, we have this online program, and my week on authentic marketing it goes into the social elements of it and connecting with people virtually, especially since in-person has been diminished so greatly. So how do you reach out and touch those people that might be, concerned and afraid of it? I have just the most best advice that I have seen our most productive dentists do, and that is truly reaching out and being yourself. For example, Dr. Andy Droll, I can't remember what his practice name is, but his video is still on his practice Facebook site. During the pandemic, he reached out, he just turned on the recording. His face wasn't all clean shaven. He didn't have his scrubs on or anything like that, but he sat down and he just started to talk about what it was like for him as a business owner, how he's been feeling. So he talked, he connected with his feelings. and was explaining about the different PPE that they were using, the different protocols they were choosing to engage in, and how they were making the practice more safe. He was being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that is often missed in communication. I think I don't know the statistic on it, but I think assumptions make up a large part of how we move quickly as animals. We are a survive and thrive type creature, and so failing to communicate the things that we already know internally, that is a huge disconnect, and it doesn't lower fear; it only increases that span. So Dr. Andy Droll is doing this video, and he pauses for a second. You can see it looks like he has tears in his eyes, and he says, "I just miss you. I miss talking with you." He's not saying I miss talking to everyone. He's not saying I miss talking to patients. He's directly looking in the camera for whoever is watching it, and he's saying, "I miss you. I miss connecting with you. And here is what we're doing so that we can see each other again." It was powerful. He didn't spend thousands and thousands of dollars on some fancy agency. He reached out. He just said it like it was. And that is the most beautiful thing I've seen. The other thing I've seen, Dr. Bruce Baird, our co-founder, does when I go to see him in his we do over the shoulder experiences in his practice. He will sit and talk about the equipment as he's using it. So he's like, "Do you see this little light on the end of my handpiece here? This is a insert technical term here."
I know, right?
And he's like, "Isn't this so cool? This helps me see better." So he explains it as he's going through it. And now the person, their fear, when you can release, you can lower the fear as soon as you increase that knowledge and take them on the ride and do it in a way that is non-judgmental. That is really, really powerful. So being able to do that and use social media, use your website, use your video to do that is incredibly powerful in this time.
Well, that's such a great example because it changes it from fear to more of kind of this excitement discovery process almost, because you're, like you said, you're now engaged in learning. You're not necessarily just bracing yourself for the next touch or sound or sight. It really changes that whole mindset.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
Cool. Okay, now, let's get back to where we were. So break that down when you're talking about authentic marketing. How do we start to, how do we do that? What does the process look like?
Yeah, the nerdy stuff. Let's get into the nerdy fun messaging stuff, the attraction strategies.
Yes, please do.
So this is the takeaway I think I have for any dentist listening to this today. When somebody calls you, you may have an agency that you're working with. I don't know. When somebody calls and says, "I can get you to #1 on Google," or "I can get you 50 new patients a month guaranteed," the conversation tends to kind of end there. We don't know what type of patients we're getting in the door. We don't know what the ratio is going to be. There's a lot of unknowns in that 50. And I am very, very steadfast that the number should not equal the actual, it's not congruent with the quality that's coming in the door.
Right. Yes.
When you're setting up messaging of any kind, I think there's 3 levels to reaching people in an authentic way. And you're making it about them, not you. I do think from visual standpoint, you can certainly include your hobbies. For example, my dentist is an avid rock climber, and he doesn't include that in his marketing, but I think he should. That's a side note.
Yes, I totally agree.
When we are talking about reaching out and connecting someone, there's really these 3 levels. So one is the problem. You must always speak to the problem. And it is a very transactional issue that they're coming to see you for. So let's take the example of a missing tooth. I have a missing tooth. I would like that problem solved. That level of marketing and messaging. So dental implants, you will see often with that, the price attached to it. So price shoppers will be at this level. It will be very, get $99 special here. Or so something that is very surface. It doesn't require a lot of thought. It's kind of a yes, no thing. You have a problem. I'm going to fix the problem. And that's okay because we do need to address the problem, but we're not making a connection. We don't have a relationship. The second level in messaging and visual, it's both visual messaging and text messaging, is connecting with the emotions of the person. And I think many marketing companies are getting better and better at this every day. So you'll start to see value increasing when emotions are touched on. You will see billboards that might say, instead of missing tooth, call this number. You might see bite into corn on the cob again, or smile at your child's graduation. So now you're starting to hit the heart center of that. So the head says, I have a missing tooth, and the heart says, I really just want to be able to have, to smile at my son's graduation. That messaging, you're starting to make the connection. Your conversion rate will start to, you'll see it start to go up, meaning it's going to be easier for that doctor when the patient's in the chair to already have an emotional connection with that patient by
Right.
saying, I see you and I understand how you feel. The third part of authentic connection, and to me, this is the 1% of dentists do this really, really well, is they get into the bottom level of why. Why is this unfair that this person has a missing tooth? Why is it so unjust that they do? And in this example, I would say, luckily I don't have a missing tooth, but I would say,
I did,
why?
by the way. This one was, I got knocked out. I got it knocked out playing indoor soccer. And so this is an implant that was just placed a couple months ago.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess that if you did not have insurance, you may have immediately felt that frozen need of, why do other people seem to just be able to get this problem fixed immediately? I don't know if I can afford this. I don't know that I want to go through and have that conversation with somebody. I don't want to get my hopes up, find out that I can have a tooth, and in the front that's even more pressing,
Right.
and then find out that I can't pay for it. It's just going to set me up for failure. So it's unjust, it's unfair in our society that this should have to be a problem. So in a marketing message, you will definitely want to address that and remove barriers immediately. You could say something like, easy payment options available, or financial options are always open. Like we make it easy for you. And then there's always scripting and conversation that happens during the appointment as well that will help remove that. So make sure that they feel unjudged. Now you've got the gut, you've got the head, the heart, the gut. I know that I'm going to be able to be taken care of just in this one message alone. They're going to make it easy for me to pay. Especially like there's third party offers. Compassionate Finance is one of them, and they look at payment history over a credit score. So with bad credit, like you could say that bad credit, not a problem. And I mean, man, you can just see the stress fall.
Right.
And they're much more likely to call. They're much more likely to show up. They've got, and the doctor has an easier job now by the time the patient actually gets to the chair. It's a lot of obstacles have already been touched on. He or she can bring up those obstacles again and
Right.
walk through them, but subconsciously your brain will remember that. And that just increases your, what do they call it? Your little synapses in there. They fire quicker because they've heard that message before.
Well, and as you're explaining this, Regan, I mean, it's just, it really comes down to me. I look at it like this. You're really understanding, going deeper in understanding your patients and what they're going through. I mean, like you said, you talked about that on the second step with the emotions, connecting with those pain points. But then, yeah, you're going that next step and asking, why is that important? I mean, what kind of effect does that have on their day-to-day life? And then putting yourself in their shoes and understanding that, yeah, it's awful to have a missing front tooth. I mean, when you take it out to eat, you have a flipper and it's
That's
just
right.
not fun, and you're always explaining yourself when you're out to lunch, like, oh yes, what happened?
Exactly.
But it does make for some good entertainment to your kids. They were sorely disappointed when I had the implant placed, but that was fun. But it does come back to that, really knowing your patients or getting to know your patients if you don't, and I love that aspect of it too, where you're taking that opportunity especially when you're chairside with them. You have a tremendous opportunity right in front of you to get to know you, or to get to know your patient and build that relationship, reinforce it, so that they're not even going to ever look anywhere else. You're just asking them, and it's just sincerely taking an interest in the patient, and so
isn't that interesting? It truly is. By slowing down, you'll increase your productivity, you'll increase the amount of patients that you're able to serve. And it is by slowing down and building the relationship. And the linking part that we can't have an authentic marketing podcast without really talking about how you put yourself out there. And it's important really from the psychological benefit of being able to relate to another person. So we do, I'm sure you do also, they're exhaustively beautiful demographic reports. So
yeah.
I can tell you, if you're looking for a specific patient, where they show up in your community, how many miles out they are, but then not just that, where they live is great and all that. We talk talk about the cars they drive,
Yeah.
where they go. Do they like the farmers markets? Do they not? What magazines do they read? What music do they listen to? And what's really exciting is seeing the dentists saying, oh my gosh, I love this too. Or, oh, I'm a
Yeah.
huge golfer also. That's how you can start to build that friendly rapport.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to have somebody in your mouth if you like them and
Ah,
you can relate
absolutely.
to them. Dr. Bruce Baird is a huge avid golfer, and I love listening to him talk to patients and be like, oh yeah, I just was up at Pebble Beach and I did this. And they're like, oh my gosh, I did Pebble Beach X amount of years ago. And
Yeah.
so now you're comfortable and you're in conversation, and that starts to relax everything. So you can do that with your marketing, and that is how you want to use and share your authentic self. You don't have to share everything. Just share things that help build a connection and build a rapport, and say, I'm in your community too. I'm a person too.
Yeah. And I love that too, because it really, what it does is it makes you, um, it puts you there's no competition, right? I mean,
No,
you're just, once you're authentically you, no one else can be a you like you can be you, I mean,
that's so
doesn't
Dr.
sound very
Seuss.
good, but I know exactly. That's so
There's no
true.
one youer than you.
Yeah, exactly. But
I
that's what's
actually,
so,
in the foundations program, I say that you're harnessing your superpower, which is you. There is no other you. And having an abundance mindset also helps with that. It can be really difficult. The mission that I have with PDA is I've experienced the feeling of when a small business fails, and it really has nothing to do with the talent of
Mhm.
every single person in that business. It's just a lack of business acumen
Yeah,
and lacking that know-how. And I think that is very unfair for dentists to go through and become clinically proficient, very passionate about what they do, and then they are thrown in. And really, they are, even when they're brought in with a partner, they still will have, scenarios that are new to them. They have to be an HR manager. They have to be a marketing guru all of a sudden. They have
right.
to understand how to negotiate equipment and costs and insurance. And now they're running the day to day. I think that's very unfair. And I think any support that we can provide them to enjoy dentistry again and have fun is just, it's the bee's knees. It's
Yeah.
it's why we exist.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. And that's a great example too. I mean, if you look, your audience very well, and that's kind of that same thing that you're talking about, where you understand their challenges. You understand where, like you said, I love how you phrase that, why it's unfair. And just diving into that. So great example. Thanks for sharing that, Regan. So just to sum up, so if I'm a practice and I'm looking at, okay, I want to become more proficient in being authentic, or if I want to become more authentic in my messaging and marketing, we've got those kind of three levels. Do you just start trying to hit, like, if you're coming up with a campaign and creating messaging around that campaign, do you just kind of go, okay, here's the problem, what type of emotions are connected or associated with that problem, and then why is that important? Is that kind of the process that you tend to work through?
That, I think that's an incredibly that's a great summation. Yes, if you were to just pull your collateral today, you could look and you could ask yourself those three questions. Pull everything that you're doing and say, is it addressing a problem? Am I emotionally connecting with that person? And is it really addressing their deep seated fears that may be sitting behind that? And ask yourself the question too: not everybody knows what an implant is? They just know that they have a missing tooth. So
Right.
make sure that you're not going too technical on that route. The other thing that I think is a huge tip for everybody listening: go to your Google reviews or whatever, wherever you have reviews online. Do an assessment of yourself right away, and you will find out what story you're telling. So go to Google your dental practice name, go to the reviews, wherever it is. It might be Yelp, it might be Google, it might be Facebook, and compile them. Grab your favorite beverage, compile them all and read them, all of them, the good and the bad, and start to pull out words. Google's really cool because if you have a lot of reviews, they will summarize words that are used over and over again based on all the compilation of all the reviews. And so for the doctors that have a lot of reviews, I just pull those out and I'm like, so the story you're telling is that you're comfortable, you're easily accessible, you provide advanced treatments or whatever it may be. And so read those words. If they don't have it, just start banking the words and ask yourself what story you're telling today. Are you happy with the story you're telling today? Is there an area where your voice has been lost and you want to shine clearer in that? Really, you're just a beacon there to help people. And So I think that you combine that with reviewing under the 3 steps there, you're on your way.
That's a very easy thing to do. It takes a little bit of time, but it's a pretty simple approach to doing that. And just like you said, a lot of times Google will do that for you. If depending on the frequency that word has been used, it'll just show up right automatically. And so that's a great way to look at that and take a step back and see the story that you're telling, like you mentioned. Fantastic tip right there. Any last tips, anything that we left out? I know we could go on in detail about different things, but anything that you feel like we need to share before we end this?
Remember to share it with your team.
Mm.
So all of the input, everything that you learn, just like when you talk to a patient and you're explaining what you're doing as you go along and bringing them into the story, make sure that you bring the team into the story, because they are an integral, critical part of that patient experience. And they also help create that story that you're telling. So, share with them why you want to make more of a connection, and share to them, why it matters. And really it's to see more of the people that, that have the issues that you want to treat and that you're passionate about.
Interesting. So that made me think of how you are the guide, not only for your patients, but you're also the guide as a practice owner or a provider to your team. Right?
Absolutely. They need to be clearly understanding the vision. And once they do, they will carry that torch for you like nothing else. Once they understand it and they see the mission that you're on, there's no stopping to them. So they are your greatest referral tool. They are your delegation tool, and they want to know. They need that transparency. They are interested. Even if you're shaking your head at me over the airways right now and saying, not my team, they really do. They really do care. So yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, this has been tremendous. Thank you so much, Regan, for coming on here and sharing your expertise. We've already talked about future podcasts, so we'll be having you back in the future. But I really appreciate your time. What is the best way if people want to get in touch with you or learn more about Productive Dentist Academy, where do they go?
You can go to productivedentist.com. And that is our main website right there. We have a special assessment that's happening right now that's really fun. You get to take an assessment, kind of see where you are in your practice from the holistic business. Marketing is only one element of it. So that's kind of fun. And you can also listen to me on Everyday Practices. I'm the co-host of that podcast. We release a new episode every week with Dr. Chad Johnson.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll make sure to put those up in the show notes so that people that are just listening online can go and click that link and go right over there. But again, I thank you so much, Regan. This has been tremendous.
Thank you for having me.
See all my notes right here. So good. But we'll have to have you back in the future.
It sounds great. Can't wait to have you on my podcast also.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Hey, my friends, thank you for joining us today on the show. And if you haven't yet, be sure to check out our website for resources, downloads, and additional information at www.dentalmarketingsecretspodcast.com. Again, that's dentalmarketingsecretspodcast.com. And we'll catch you next time on the show.